Hey, welcome back to Learning with Lou, and today we're going to talk about adding fractions with unlike denominators. So when fractions have unlike denominators, that just means that the denominators are two different numbers. As you can see here, we have 2/4 plus 3/8. Before we could actually add these fractions, we have to make the denominators match, because right now we can't do anything. If you take a look here, you have 2/4 plus 3/8, but you can't put them together because we're talking about two different sized equal parts, so we have to make them the same sized equal parts. If you take a look at the bottom example here, we took these 2/4 and we actually just split it, so now instead of fourths, we do have 8 total parts, so we're not looking at 2/4 plus 3/8 anymore. Now we're looking at 4/8 because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 equal parts, and 4 of them are shaded in. So we have 4/8 plus 3/8. And then from here, it's the regular process for adding fractions. You add your numerators, 4 plus 3 is 7, and you keep your same denominator. So 2/4 plus 3/8 was renamed into 4/8 plus 3/8, and that equals 7/8. You can also use multiplication to rename fractions, and if you haven't watched my equivalent fraction video yet, I really recommend going there and checking that out, because I'm just going to give a quick version here, but this is the same thing as finding equivalent fractions. What we're going to do is use multiplication to match the denominators. We're going to rename these fractions using equivalent fractions to match the denominators. So what we need to do first is find the lowest common denominator, and that just means finding the smallest number that both denominators can turn into. And if you take a look here, we have 1/3 plus 3/5. Now drawing a picture for this one wouldn't work, because if you were to show 1/3, there's no split you can do that's going to give you fifths. It's just not going to happen. So we need to find the lowest common denominator. In order to do that, you need to find multiples of each denominator, not factors. You want to find multiples. So that basically means you're going to skip count. Anything you can multiply 3 by, the answer is a multiple. So for example, multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, and 18. That means that all of these numbers in the list, it's possible to multiply 3 by something and get that as an answer. And then we have multiples of 5, which again, you could really just think of it as skip counting. You have 5, 10, 15, 20, and 25. So I have my list of multiples for 3 and my list of multiples for 5. And what I want to do is look for the first number that appears in both lists. I'm not looking for any number that's in both. I want to find the smallest one. So it looks like my first one that matches is 15, and there's actually nothing else that matches, so 15 is definitely our lowest common denominator. So now that we know what our lowest common denominator is, that means we have to change both of our fractions. We have to rename them so that they both have a denominator of 15. Then we could go ahead and add them. So if you take a look down here, I had to turn my 1/3 into a fraction that has 15 as a denominator. How do I do that? I ask myself, 3 times what number equals 15? And I know that that was 5. So 3 times 5 gives me 15. And now you have to keep it an equivalent fraction. You must make it equivalent since we're adding them together. We don't want to change the fraction we're working with. You don't want to change 1/3 into something that's not equal to it, because then you're looking at a different problem. So if you remember from my equivalent fraction video, whatever you multiply your denominator by, you have to multiply your numerator by. So I had to do 3 times 5 to get 15. That means I have to do 1 times 5, which gives me 5. So my equivalent fraction is 5/15. Same thing over here with 3/5. I have to change my denominator to be 15, and that means I have to do 5 times 3 to get 15. Now since I multiplied my denominator by 3, I also have to multiply my numerator by 3. And 3 times 3 gives me 9, so my new equivalent fraction is 9/15. And now you can see that both of our fractions have the same denominator. We're just back to the regular process for adding fractions. You do your numerator plus your numerator, so 5 plus 9 is 14, and you keep your denominator. So 1/3 plus 3/5 is really 14/15, because we renamed it. 1/3 became 5/15, and 3/5 became 9/15. You add it together and you get 14/15. We have some practice problems here, and what I'm going to ask that you do is pause the video right here and see what you could do about finding the answers here. We have unlike denominators. You want to see if you could change them to have the same denominator and then add them up. Okay, so now that you have your answers, let's take a look here. So the first one I did color-coded so that you could see how this works here. I changed it so that my lowest common denominator here, I had a denominator of 12. So I needed to do 4 times 3 to give me 12, which also means I had to do my numerator for that fraction times 3. 2 times 3 was 6. And then for the other fraction, 2/6, I had to do 6 times 2 to get 12, which meant my numerator had to be 2 times 2 to get 4. So I ended up with 6/12 plus 4/12 gave me 10/12. And you can see the same idea done for each question here if you want to take a look real quick and just compare your answers and see how you did. So that's going to bring us to the end of this video. Again, if you want to go back and maybe write down some of those notes, I feel like they could be very helpful to you in the future. If you feel like this video helped you, please do me a favor and just hit the like button and even subscribe for future content that's going to be covered. If you're interested in any of these resources that you see in my videos, the visuals, the practice problems, I have all of this stuff available for you to download on my website, and you can find the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, never stop learning.